Hi there, this is Ruthie from Water's Edge Wonders. This video will give you step-by-step instructions on how to make beautiful decoupage shells. I collect all the shells in my kits off the beaches of Massachusetts. They are cleaned, primed, and ready for crafting. Included in your kit are printed instructions, gold paint, Mod Podge, scissors, 2 foam brushes, 2 flat paint brushes, 2 emery boards, plastic wrap, 4 primed shells, and 4 napkins. If you have not purchased a kit, don't worry, we'll talk about all the supplies you need if you want to gather those and follow along in the instructions. Before you begin, put something down to protect your work surface. Lay out your supplies so they'll be within reach. Most decorative napkins come with 3 layers or 3 ply. You'll need to remove the 2 backing layers from the top printed layer before applying it to your shell. This can easily be done by tapping one corner of the backing with a piece of adhesive tape. Once you remove the white backing layers, the top printed layer will appear somewhat translucent. Sometimes the pattern on the napkin is not big enough to completely cover the surface of the shell. That's easily remedied by piecing another part of the napkin onto the edge. When cutting around the edge of the napkin, leave plenty of room so you'll have a little overhang after you've fit the napkin into the shell. Carefully tear the napkin instead of cutting it to provide a soft edge when adding additional pieces to the shell. When applying the thin cut of Mod Podge to the interior part of the shell, avoid putting it on the dimpled or hinged part of the shell. We'll apply gold paint to that area later. Make sure the Mod Podge is applied in an even, thin coat. Now for the fun part, we're going to apply the patterned napkin to the shell. Gently tap the napkin into position. Avoid using your fingers to place the napkin and smooth it over the surface of the shell. That's what the plastic wrap will be used for. The napkin is very thin and it's easy to tear it with your bare fingers. Beginning at the base of the shell, gently place the plastic wrap over the napkin and gently smooth it into place, making sure that you cover it to the edges and under the dimple of the shell. If you do accidentally tear the napkin, don't worry, you can go back and patch it later. If you've created a tear, now is the time to patch it. Simply cut out a piece of the pattern from the leftover napkin and apply it to the tear with a little bit of Mod Podge. Recheck the edges to make sure they are securely attached. Do not glue the areas that are closest to the dimple. Because Mod Podge dries quickly, you may want to wash your brush out in between coats. Once the Mod Podge is dry, use an emery board to file in a downward motion to get a very sharp, clean edge on the napkin. Avoid filing back and forth on the surface of the napkin. This will tend to tear the napkin. Be careful when filing around the edges if you had to piece them together. There you go. Very clean edge. If it's difficult to trim around the edges of the dimple with scissors, you can gently tear away the excess napkin if the edges have been securely glued down to the shell. Apply a thin top coat of the Mod Podge, giving special attention to the edges. The Mod Podge will appear white when first applied, but it will dry clear. Once the first coat is dry, add a second coat of Mod Podge to add to the protective surface, paying special attention to cover the edges. You'll have plenty of Mod Podge to finish all 4 shells. Now for the finishing touch. Once the Mod Podge has dried, use the acrylic gold paint provided in your kit to trim out your shell. If you have not purchased a kit, I prefer Deco Art's Glorious Gold to use for trim paint. Use the flat part of the brush against the edges to make an even, thin outline around the shell. Once the thin coat of gold paint has been applied, it may require a second coat. You might opt to paint the gold only on the surface of the shell, or maybe finish it off by painting the back as well. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoy your kit. There's a link to my shop in the description below if you want to check out my other products.